Okay. Good evening, everybody. Can the residents of Marymount make some noise? And the residents of Kabambaru, make some noise. Thank you, thank you. My name is Wendy Low. I'm an intellectual property technology lawyer, and I sometimes give advice on employment issues. I was a partner with one of Southeast Asia's largest firms for almost a decade as its partner, and I'm now a partner with Eldon Law, which is associated with DWF, and that was one of UK's largest listed law firm. Tonight, I want to share about an important piece of law that I advocated for in my capacity as the head of PSP's Women Wing. That is Singapore's first Workplace Fairness Act to ensure that all Singaporean workers are treated equally and fairly. Some background to this journey. I was volunteering with a women NGO in Hong Kong in the year 2000. That was when I first encountered that Equal Opportunities Commission. Hong Kong and Singapore are often compared side by side as small but economically charged city-states. I then wondered, why is it that Hong Kong can thrive while protecting their local workers, but Singapore often have to suppress the rights of workers in the name of being pro-competition? Over the years, I advised clients and friends on issues of workplace discrimination. They were often referred to the Tripartite Alliance for Fair and Progressive Employment Practices, or TIFAP, for help. But there is limited relief, as TIFAP was only there to administer best practices and guidelines. There is no legal penalty against companies who breach these guidelines, and TIFAP does not have the bite of the law. I saw the injustices on the ground when workplace discrimination is left unaddressed by the law. And let me share 3 poignant stories that exemplify why I have fought for this bill. For assurance, the names of those who have bravely shared these stories are anonymized so that I can be open about what other injustices I see on this ground. First, let's talk about Clara, a caregiver. Clara has spent more than a decade taking care of her mother, who was going through kidney dialysis. And this may be a situation that's not unfamiliar to many Singaporeans. She's deeply committed to taking care of her family, ensuring that her mother received the best care possible. However, she had to arrive at work slightly late on some days because of a caregiving duty. She thought she had the support and understanding of her boss for more than a decade. And Clara later went on maternity leave after the birth of her child. However, despite Clara's incredible dedication, she was replaced from her job abruptly and without explanation shortly after she returned from maternity leave. Clara later found out that her employer had chosen someone younger, citing performance issues that had never been raised to her in her prior evaluation. How would you feel if you were Clara? In this case, Clara was devastated, but she had chosen not to fight because her employer was a big company. This is not uncommon, because employees are often the David in the unequal fight against the corporate Goliath. The second story, I want to talk about my friend Raj. Raj is a brilliant young man full of talent and ideas. However, he has faced discrimination in the hiring process due to his mental health state. Before his job interview, he wondered if he should choose to declare his mental health to the prospective employer. If you were Raj, would you? Raj did, but instead of being appreciated for his honesty, he was met with skepticism. He was not called back for a second interview, and Raj is not alone. There are many Singaporeans who face stigmatization due to the mental health struggles. And this should not be a factor that impacts on their chances of employment. Mental health should not define one's capability or potential in the workplace. I've counseled and referred him to TIFAP, but there was limited recourse in the end. The third story is someone I'll refer to as Auntie Chan, a Singaporean cleaner and resident of Choa Chu Kang GRC. Auntie Chan had dedicated most of her life working as a cleaner in our bustling city. While Auntie Chan's work is vital in keeping our public spaces clean, she experienced bullying daily, not from a manager, but from her foreign colleagues who believe they are superior. Auntie Chan was well into her late 70s, but she was deployed to clean long flights of steps, huge glass panels along corridors. She was deprived of key work equipment, and because of that, she had to work overtime. Auntie Chan reported this bullying to her supervisor, but guess what? She was met with absolute silence and absolute indifference. While sharing with me, Auntie Chan proudly showed me the photos of her daughters on her phone. Her daughters have graduated, and both were raised through her blood and sweat and tears working as a cleaner. Auntie Chan told me she could not tahan the bullying anymore and had left within 6 months. She deserves to be treated with dignity and respect, just as anyone else. Unfortunately, by the time I met with Auntie Chan, she had found work with a pro-Singaporean employer and was happy in her new workplace. My dear Singaporeans, these stories of Clara, of Raj, of Auntie Chan highlight the very reasons why we have fought for the Workplace Fairness Act. We must come together as a society to ensure a culture of fairness, where Singaporean cleaners can stand tall, when caregivers are recognized for their love and sacrifice, and where mental health declarations are met with understanding and not prejudice. Importantly, the passing of the Workplace Fairness Act on 8 January 2025, which is coincidentally my birthday, so now all of you know when it's my birthday. That goes far beyond the passing of a law, because it also speaks to the importance of political competition. When we trace back, an anti-discrimination law was first proposed by PSP when we first launched the Women's Wing in January 2021. This was alongside the Workers' Party. In the August of that same year, the then Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong then announced in the August National Rally speech that plans were there to enshrine anti-discrimination guidelines in the workplace into law. As such, I firmly believe that competition of ideas from credible alternative parties like PSP forces the PAP to act. Tonight, I therefore stand with my colleagues, Jeffrey in Marymount and Tony in Kebun Baru, to call you to vote for them. The media has called our West Coast leaders the A-team, but each and every of our PSP candidates are aces in themselves. And who is to say that PSP cannot be the ace student who will ace every ground that we contest in? From Marymount to Kebun Baru, from Choa Chu Kang to Gombak, from West Coast Jurong West to Pioneer, we will fight and ace, and with each and every ground and with your vote, we will be the A-team in your constituency. So my dear fellow Singaporeans, the time is now. Vote the PSP, vote for progress, vote for change. I thank you.